everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are getting into our April 2021 fashion roast and review. I apologize that I missed out on March, it must have been. I want to make an excuse but I won't because it's a waste of time. So without further ado, let's get into all of these looks that all of these celebrities wore, and there are a lot of them, let me just be frank. So if you are a channel member, please go and watch the channel member video. There's a lot of looks to go through on the channel member video, but if you're not, listen, we're still gonna get into every single celebrity, so like don't worry about it, okay? So without further ado, let's do it. First up is Alicia Keys. Now she is wearing this Versace top and skirt and I presume shoe. I love the spring 2021 Versace collection. I think it's really, really beautiful. I love the Technicolor moment going on this bralette bolero shirt bandeau. That's kind of what it's giving me here. I like the triangular effect it gives me up top. I feel like it creates shape. I really like that. I think the shirt is actually rather nice. I like the little button. I like the way that it's a little bit of a sharp sort of bulky shoulder and then a full sort of sleeve moment going on. Where we're lost is the gray skirt. I understand that it's probably a reference to the black looks and the black sort of garments that were in that collection that had little cutouts and like the little Versace Medusa head with little cutout moments. Those are really hot. I really love those. I don't know if this gray though plays off of the colors as well as the black did in the show, and that's where I'm sort of concerned. I'm just not understanding where the gray is coming in. I think it's a little bit too corporate wear to make it pop. When you look at the black on the sort of Technicolor colors, you can see that there's a bit of a pop. It's vibrant, it's juicy, it's just a lot. The gray, she's muted, she's sad. She believes in corporate culture and she says that HR is gonna help you when they're really not. So I do not love that aspect of it. The shoes though, I think are good. I think they play back into the orange from the top. Overall, I think this is a miss. I like what they were going for. I think the use of color didn't allow it to be executed as well as they thought. Next up is Andra Day, and she is wearing Aliette. Now Aliette is the brand by Jason Rembert, who was a stylist, is a stylist, and now runs his own brand. And for the longest time, I was like, no, I don't like a stylist fashion designer brand. I don't think they usually work. But something about this Aliette collection, it's working and I'm really happy about it. So this sort of off the shoulder feather gown with a beautiful sort of slim fit black moment. I think it looks lovely on her. I think it's really, really nice. I don't think it's trying to do a lot. I don't think it's trying to be avant-garde. I don't think it's trying to be over the top. I think it's just meant to be nice clothing. It's an American brand. I've sort of changed my tune on all of the American brands. As long as it's nice clothing that is well constructed, I'm not gonna be mad about it. In reality, I just think it's a really beautiful dress. I think the feathers come through. I think the fact that you have a fan of this sheer black over top as well sort of allows the top area, the sternum, the torso, not to get totally lost. I like it. I think Andra looks really, really good. Next up is Anita, and she is wearing Versace, and this again is from that spring 2021 collection. Good placement over there at Versace. Full of starfish, clams, oysters, sea urchins, flounders, whatever kind of fish you could see under the sea. It's probably on there. High-waisted skirt and or it's a dress, I can't really tell. And then there is a little sort of button down tied right over. I think it's a little bit sloppy-oppy. It's not really super exciting. I think there just are genuinely like better constructed garments from that collection in this motif. And I think that's where my issue lies. I understand trying to sell more of like a commercial version of these pieces to the everyday person. I get it. But there were those beautiful sort of big, stiff, ruffled mini skirts with little crop tops, and they were embroidered and embellished with all of like the little starfish, and that's sort of the vibe I think should be gone for when you're going into this sort of collection. Like that is true Versace. Go for it. Listen, who cares if somebody else wore it? Because if you look good in it and you can pull it off, I'm not gonna remember that somebody else wore it because you're wearing it. It's a starfish and clam motif in bright pastels. What about this is telling you to play it safe? Just go for the big. Go big or go home, please. Next up is Anya Taylor-Joy, and she is wearing Dior. I don't like hate this. I'll be honest, I think maybe it's just because like it's shot from the pelvis up. I do like the colors. I think that this has a very sort of 1960s-esque style. It's in a sort of tartan in like a pistachio green, some may say, and a sort of cream. Has little black buttons. It's a double-breasted moment. Maria Grazia sort of reclaimed the double-breasted jacket, in my opinion. It's not really crazy. It's not really ridiculous, but to me, it sort of has this mod 1960s effect. The freeing of the woman, the youth quake, mini skirts, Mary Quant, England, beatnik collections by Dior under Yves Saint Laurent. There's moments of it that I think in this are really, really nice. I don't think they're going for anything crazy, over the top, ridiculous, and the background just sort of gives me like English, not chateau, but English sort of country home. So yeah, I'm not mad at it. Next up is Ariana Grande, and she is wearing Lanvin. This is a sort of new take. I believe there's a new creative director. I'm not really sure of their name, apologies. But it's going for a leopard moment. I'm going with this as a jacket, and there's a big black belt over it. It's not a skinny black belt, so I mean, I'm not really mad about that. I guess they're trying to cinch in the waist there, to each their own. And she's wearing a little leopard shoe and a little leopard bag. Ariana Grande is not a fashion girl. I think that's one thing that I've just come to realize in my life. It's just not really ever gonna happen. I'm not gonna expect it. Low expectations with Ariana Grande, always. But I'm sort of hoping that with Lanvin, she maybe will like keep moving in a more fashionable direction. You know what I mean? Like there's just some girls that go for the fashion moments, some girls that don't. Ariana is in the latter category. It's not really exciting. It's not really that interesting. I like the big black belt. It's not a knee-high and a sweatshirt, so like maybe I should just be happy, okay? Next up is Aquafina, and I believe that she is on the cover of Vogue Singapore, and she's wearing Gucci. Honestly, I kind of like this. Aquafina is now a Gucci ambassador, or she was in like the most recent Gucci campaign or whatever, and I think that it's actually a brand that like makes a lot of sense. I do think Aquafina is quite loud and sort of brash and very like in your face, at least like that's, you know, how she presents herself in certain movie roles, etc., etc. She's also like a comedian by trade, so I think Gucci is very tacky and gauche and over the top and almost like ironic, and so those things meld well in my mind. I like this actual like garmentation though. I think this jacket looks really, really nice on her. I think it's quite sweet. It's a little bit oversized, evidently. Sleeves are rolled up. I love the pussy bow. Or I love the little tie in this like floral motif. I want to think it's like a pussy bow, but it's not. I just, Gucci pussy bow, Tom Ford, Alessandro Michele. It's just like, you know, the vibe. It's not really doing a lot. And then a sort of brown corduroy pant, which I like. I love a brown corduroy. Who doesn't like a brown corduroy? A corduroy is a great fabric. It's a great textile. We should bring it back. I know it's very 70s, but like, I'm not mad about it. Somebody modernize corduroy, please. And also the brown hat, I think cute, works. I like this. I think this is very fine, yet absolutely out there and sort of weird and strange and like doesn't make any logical sense, but I also feel like that's kind of Aquafina's vibe. So her and Gucci, not upset about it. Next up, let's talk about Beyonce. So she's wearing an area suit. I believe this is from one of the 2020 area collections. It could be fall, could be spring. I'm not really sure. She's not wearing a shirt underneath, which like we stan. It has a little bit of a plunge, which we also enjoy. Throughout it are gold chains with what I presume are Beyonce's name written in a bunch of different scripts and languages. Sort of like near one of her armpits, you can see that there's a sort of gold name necklace that says Beyonce, which I believe is most definitely something that the Black community sort of loves. It's something that is 100% sort of part of Black culture, and it's something that here in America, at least, it's been appropriated by wider mainstream culture as well, but the trend, the style, the origin originates within the Black community. I'm not sure if it says Beyonce in all of the other languages. I think it's a nice little suit. I think it's a nice little nod to Black culture, and a lot of her music, a lot of her fashion choices bring back and sort of bring to the surface a lot of references and historical aspects of Black culture. The suit fits her well. I like the idea, the motif, the notion behind the suit, so like I'm happy with it. Next up is Billy Porter wearing Robert 1. I love this. This is a full rainbow effect Robert 1 moment. I'm pretty positive this is a finale look. It's full of the Robert 1 pleats. As you can see, it's just sort of like a literal rainbow of pleats. We start at the top and it's a white sort of hat that falls down into these beautiful pleats. It's just like a cascading pleat moment, which I'm obsessed with. You then have teal and yellow. You know, there's a teal sleeve and there's sort of a yellow front, and then underneath you can sort of see these little like swoops and swags of straps, which Robert 1 also did for that spring 2021 collection. And then you have a blue skirted style, again in the sort of full pleats, it's layered, and then a purple pleated train falls out from underneath. He's wearing a matching bag that sort of does that little bird dip. You know, it's in that gorgeous, it's a gorgeous color, that little silky teal moment. And also you have him wearing white Rick Owens shoes, which plays right back into details on the bag and the hat. Overall, I'm enjoying it. Is it the most amazingly stunning, you know, Robert I moment that I've ever seen in my entire life? No, but I appreciate that Billy Porter is like stepping out and actually doing fashion work. Like he's putting on looks. People are gonna see that, probably already have seen it and said, ooh, Robert I, let's do that. Let's make that happen, which I love to see. Overall, I really appreciate Billy Porter taking risks, doing it, and, you know, showing up and showing out in young designers. Now, you guys are always telling me to talk about Drag Race girls. Well, I have it. Next up is Bimini Bon Boulash, who I believe was from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2, UK. She is wearing Richard Quinn. It's a full sort of like latex turtleneck with gloves, etc., etc. And then also you have that amazing sort of Laura little baby doll dress. It's just layers and layers of old lady florals, which very Richard Quinn, and I love to see it. Many people attribute Richard Quinn's inspiration as the legendary artist, designer, club extraordinaire, culture creator Lee Bowery, but Richard is very, very firm on the stance that it was actually inspired by Paul Harris, the artist. And so in reality, these sort of like kitschy, weird, like 1960s, 1970s florals mixed with sort of like darker, fetish-esque fabrics and textiles like latex is very interesting to me. I think the cut is really, really beautiful. I love the fact that we're getting to see a queen in Richard Quinn. It's a good brand. It's very camp. It's very over the top. It just makes sense for Bimini. Honestly, I think it's stunning. I like the baby doll moment. I like the mixture of this sort of old world sort of style, textile, mixed with, again, that sort of like harsh, grittier, black and latex. Overall, I'm very happy with this. It's very nice to see. Next up is Cardi B wearing Alicia. Now this, I believe, is the fall 2021 collection. And listen, again, let me say, Jason Rembert, on it. Really, truly on it. I'm very happy to see this. So this is a leather little jacket and matching skirt. I presume that these little leather scallops in black and red are probably stitched on there, and it's sort of like a layering of the stitching. I actually love it. It's making me think about the way that it was made, which I think is usually important. And it's making me think about the way it was made in a good way, not in a bad way. I also think it works with Cardi. I think Cardi is daring. I think Cardi likes to work with younger, smaller sort of brands. I think it definitely has like a darker tone to it. I think it definitely has a sort of bright, exuberant, like Harlequin-esque style. I don't know, the red and the black just sort of always reminds me of Harlequins. Listen, I'm not mad about it. I think it's cute. I think it works. I like the fact that it's a full leather moment. I like the way that Cardi is doing it. I like it. I'm happy. Next up is Carey Mulligan, and she is wearing Aliette again. This is like so hot. This is my favorite Aliette look. It is this sharp-shouldered suit that has these sort of like straps that swag down to around the elbow. It is in this luscious, silky, pink pant. Legs could fit a little bit better, but honestly, I'm only really looking up here, so like I'm not super duper mad about the pant leg. It's playing on this really dramatic shoulder, which we're seeing a lot of, whether it's pagoda shoulders or sort of this like staunch, stark, powerful 1980s shoulder. I think this is just like flatlining, and I think that in the best way. It's just like a flat little boxy line. And then I love the straps. I do. I think the way that they curve down, I think it's really fun. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and so like I'm kind of obsessed with it and I want to see more of it. I think the pink is luscious. I think it's beautiful, and I think in a weird way it's avant-garde and interesting enough while still sort of keeping some sort of opulence, some sort of professionalism, some sort of real true elegance. And I think that's a very important way to go about doing sort of weird, wacky, crazy out of the box, but also making it understandable and not like too weird, wacky, crazy out of the box. I also think for Carey Mulligan, it's a real like step. It's trying to do something a little bit out there, something a little bit strange, and I respect it. Next up is Doja Cat, and she is wearing Sun Woo. Now this was for Billboard magazine. I love this. This is a crazy like tent dress and matching sort of like tent gloves. Now, Sunwoo was actually inspired by like tents and sort of how they form and shape and how you can sort of like put them back together, etc., etc. So you have this sort of very tight fitted dress, which just like hugs every single aspect of Doja's body. And then the hem is this like crazy, what I presume like piping and or sort of boning moment that creates this like crazy hoop. So it almost looks like you're in one of those tunnels that little kids crawl through, and I'm obsessed with it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing. I think it's fabulous, fabulous design. I think it's pushing. I think it's exciting. I think it's definitely very futuristic. I'm about it. The gloves, which are in blue and purple, also I think are really fun, really funky. I'm pretty positive that they have boots that have a square toe, and then the other boot has like a little triangular toe. So like that little weird kitschy asymmetry is 100% represented in the brand. And I think that these little gloves are a great example of that. Listen, it is giving me not Judy Jetson, it's giving me Jane Jetson. And I love it. I respect it. Anybody could do Judy Jetson, but not everybody could do Jane Jetson. There's a difference, and it should be respected. And this to me is a great sort of fashion moment for Doja. She's very strange, she's very out there. Avant-garde does not faze her in the singular slightest, and I love it. Next up, we have Dua Lipa, and she is wearing Prada. I love this. I'm very obsessed with this. Doja, I believe, is wearing a knit sort of bodysuit in one of those weird old Prada, like 1960s, 1970s, disturbing graphic motifs. Raf Simons and Miuccia Prada sort of combine here. Miuccia Prada's love of like 1960s, 1970s sort of graphics, 100% present. You can just see it. And then Raf Simons is like a knit king. The girls love him. He is just beloved for his knits. It's what he's very much so famous for. Here, it makes sense. It works. It's still sort of old, ugly chic Prada mixed with like Raf Simons knit, but also like kind of fun and young and like bodysuit-esque, which is also Dua. And then you sort of have a nylon little bomber jacket. Again, watch one of our Prada videos that we did about Raf Simons and Miuccia Prada's work. It's stereotypical Raf mixed with Prada. And then you sort of have this lining of, again, sort of like a floral knit in a sort of old world knit style. I love it. I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool. It makes me want one of these goddamn little nylon bomber jackets. And I like the boots. I feel like, again, it's sort of Doja. It's a little bit pop star. It's not total like old lady. It's very much so, how do we take old lady motifs and make them modern? And this is that. Next up, we have Gwyneth Paltrow, and she is wearing Gucci. Listen, I sort of expect like weird kooky goop-esque looks from Gwyneth, and this just feels very blah. It looks like there's some sort of poppy print, red, purplish, pink, cream. It's just not very exciting at all. I don't know, I just want like drama, elegance, crazy, over the top, weird from Gwyneth. It's just now what I recognize. If you sell a vagina smelling candle, you can't wear blah, boring ass Gucci. The aesthetics are not lining up, and I need them to. Next up is Hailey Bieber, and she is wearing Bottega Veneta. She is a Bottega girl, a Bottega woman. She wears it a lot. It usually looks pretty good, to be honest. So this is a bubblegum pink version of the jacquard knit styles that came out from the spring 2021 Bottega collection. I actually think that this motif is so hot, and I want like 700 couches and chairs in this jacquard. I just think it's so stunning. I think the motif is really lovely. When I think of Hailey, it is sort of like bubblegum pink, sort of very Barbie-esque. And so adapting that motif into this style makes a lot of sense to me. I think the little cocktail dress is very on brand. I think it's very LA. I think it's very sort of street style-y, chic, street style-y. Now Addison Rae has me saying street style-y. You know, a little nice fitted jacket that's open. It exposes the sort of like slightly scoop neckline. And then there's a matching handbag and Bottega, I presume, shoe. I think it works. I think it's cute. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm not mad about it. Next up is India Moore, and they are wearing, I believe this is Saint Laurent. This is from the fall 2021 collection. Very controversial collection, according to the CEO of Chanel. And it sort of has this off-the-shoulder style in black, and then from the waist down, it's sort of like slit all on the sides. Now, in my opinion, this sort of like slashed style feels like something that I have seen in the window of a sex shop, and that's not anything to do with India more. It's just even looking at that collection, I was like, huh. And then I did spend maybe like 45 minutes Googling. And I will say, I don't know where Anthony Vaccarello was coming from in that regard, but I was reading a little bit recently that when Yves Saint Laurent did his first haute couture show, he put out like modeling casting call to everybody or anybody. And allegedly a lot of sex workers showed up and wanted to model. So like, is that possibly a reference? I'm not sure. But in reality, I actually like this on India. I think it's very fun. I think it's really cute. I like the sort of slit style. I feel like it's interesting. I feel like it also possibly plays into the character of Angel, who India plays on Pose. Next up is Journey Smollett, and she is wearing Elie Saab. I don't want to sob when I see it, so that's good. I'm interested by the feather and pearl moment. So it has a deep sort of plunging neckline, a full sleeve in a sort of sheer mesh or tulle, and then it sort of has these big little feathers that sort of flow out of it, and it's sort of encrusted with these little pearls or pearlescent styles. And then you sort of have, you know, just a little short underneath, a high sort of slit, and more of the pearls and the feathers. It's just not anything to write home about. It's a lot of stuff on there, you know, it's a lot of feathers, there's a lot of pearls on there, that's evident. But just because you throw a lot of embellishments on it doesn't always mean that it's of interest, that it's exciting, that it's gorgeous, that it's stunning. I like Journey experimenting with different styles, but at the same time, it's meh. Next up is Katy Perry, and she is wearing Alexander McQueen. Now this seems very reminiscent of a lot of Sarah Burton's sort of recent Alexander McQueen collections. It definitely has a sort of fitted cocktail dress style in leather. It sort of seems like it's constantly referencing like biker jackets and styles like that. The whole posing on the toilet thing doesn't really help the look at all. And in general, it's kind of boring. It's not really that exciting. I understand that leather is 100% an Alexander McQueen sort of brand trope. It's just meh, you know, seeing like the little silver stitches that highlight the belt and the pockets and all of that, even like the little zipper styles down the front. It's just not that exciting. It's not that interesting. Katy Perry is like meant to be weird and wacky and over the top and like avant-garde and like firework bra. That's the Katy Perry that I know. I just think that this is meh. It's not exciting. It's not interesting, especially for McQueen. Like there's so many good McQueen looks that you could actually take from Sarah Burton's collections and sort of like do crazy over the top, ridiculous, like, huh? And this is not that at all. Next up is Kendall Jenner wearing Rodarte, and this is just sort of your like run-of-the-mill Rodarte style. It sort of has this like 1940s flair to it, a very sort of like strong shoulder, a little nipped in waist, and then a sort of flowy skirt. It's in a floral motif and a nice sort of light pink color. Overall, it's not really super duper exciting. It's not really super duper interesting. It's just Kendall Jenner in a floral dress. Take it or leave it. Next up is Kid Cudi, and he wore off-white to perform on SNL. Now this was like a hotly contested look. It's essentially a sort of spaghetti strap dress in floral by Off-White. He was referencing Kurt Cobain and his floral styles that he'd worn in the past. Let men wear dresses, but my issue is don't let men wear dresses that are A, ugly, and or B, don't fit. And that was my issue with this Kid Cudi look, is the bust here, it just didn't fit. It was too tight, too constricting. I don't think it really worked in that way. And then the skirt actually was rather lovely. It was sort of slightly poofy and flowy and fun and created a real sort of like nice little bell shape. But here at the torso, it just was like too constricting. And I think that's something interesting about designing dresses for men. There has to be a way to go about highlighting the body of a man in a dress in a way that actually looks good. Because it's not a matter of men shouldn't wear dresses. It's a matter of nobody has really gotten to the point where they've developed dresses for men, if they're not wearing like a corset or whatever, to create a sort of flattering shape. And I think that's the real issue. And I think it's a very similar issue to plus size people. Oftentimes designers are like, well, here's a piece of fabric, you know, throw it around yourself, like wrap it, drape it a bunch of ways, like, I don't know, make a bow, bing, bang, boom, we're done. And it's like, no. You need to actually design. You need to actually think about the process of construction. You need to actually think about how can I contour the body in a way that is flattering to the body, utilizing the fabric. And to me, this is a very similar issue. It's just, we made a dress and then just put it on Kid Cudi. Yeah, in theory, great. In practice, it just doesn't look amazing. It doesn't look spectacular. It doesn't look fantastic. Here's my thing. If a dress didn't fit on a woman or a femme presenting person, I would drag the shit out of it. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, if a dress is put on a man or a masculine presenting person and it doesn't fit good or it doesn't look good, I'm gonna say it's shit. Kid Cudi, I'm happy. I love this for you. I want you to continue to experiment with these styles, but get it to fit, especially if it's goddamn custom. Virgil, what's going on here? Next up, let's talk about Kim Kardashian. Now, she wore a vintage Dior, I believe like early 2000s, mustard chartreuse ostrich leather dress. I love it. I'm not saying go out there and skin an ostrich and wear it today. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if it's already been made, probably not great to just throw it into a landfill and never think about it again, you know? It should be worn, or at least it should be like saved somewhere, so at least you have the historical reference point. And so in that regard, considering this is vintage, considering it's not brand new Dior, I really like it. I think it's very, very beautiful. I think ostrich leather is rather stunning. It has a very distinct texture to it. The little points that they take the feathers out of. I think it's kind of fun. I like the fact that celebrities like Kim Kardashian do wear vintage, do sort of pull up in very exciting, very different, very referential and archival pieces. I think it's really lovely. I think this looks good on her. I think this makes sense for her brand, the sort of plunging little neckline, the little high slit. Overall, I'm very happy with it. Next up, we have Kylie Jenner, and she is wearing a blue and red version of this Bottega Veneta jacquard knit style. I again love this. This is like my favorite colorway of it. That blue and that sort of like blood red is so hot. It's in a button-down style with a pant and a matching sort of like platform shoe of some sort and a matching bag. It's just hot. It's good. The colors are stunning. They're amazing. Kylie knows what she's doing. She is a Bottega woman. I'm about it. I'm here for it. And I'm happy to see it. Next up is Kylie Minogue, the original Kylie, and she is wearing George's Hobica. I believe this is couture. I love this. This reminds me of Prada in reality, but like it's not, but even though it's not, I still love it. These like crazy orange and white feathers, both like on the lapel aspect and the hem of the skirt are just ridiculous. They're so crazy. They're so over the top. They're fun and funky. And then this just sort of fully embellished sheer dress is just crazy, it's kooky, it's out there, it's over the top. I really love it. I think it's just a chic little look. It's very camp and I'm happy to see it. Next, let's discuss Lizzo. So she wore this Roberto Cavalli by Fausto Puglisi dress. It is a sort of, I don't want to call it a double slit because it's not really a slit, is it? It's almost like a arched high-low dress. So you have these sort of two arches that come down and there's a sort of panel in the front that almost reminds you of like a bodysuit in a weird way. It's full of the over-the-top, ridiculous, gauche, tacky, full Roberto Cavalli, Fausto Puglisi embellishments, motifs, etc., etc. So you can see that United States of Roberto Cavalli flag in there with the tiger and the leopard print. You can see a lot of different little embroideries and embellishments, little fang teeth, gold pieces, piping, different aspects of the dress, whether it's the neckline or these arched high-low places. And then I'm pretty positive the dress is partially lined in a leopard print as well. Overall, I actually like Lizzo in Cavalli. I think it works. I think it's fun. I think it taps into this sort of Americana, this beauty. It's definitely an interesting combination that I'm not upset to see. I do want Fausto to channel these styles. I understand, over the top, ridiculous, big, fun, funky. I'm about it. I get it. But I think we need to just channel it a little bit and then we'll be there. You know what I mean? Listen, do the over the top. I get it. It's Cavalli, but work in a little bit of ease, a little bit of One Direction, if that makes sense. Next up is Megan Thee Stallion, and she is wearing Roberto Cavalli as well. Listen, let me tell you, the Cavalli placements have been very good. I also think that honestly, it really depends on who it's gonna be, but one of the rap girls is going to put a Cavalli verse in a hit song, and let me tell you, I think it's gonna take off the way that Cardi B made that Balenciaga sock sneaker a thing. Megan is wearing a white leopard, maybe like a cloud leopard turtleneck jumpsuit. I think it's cute. I think it works. I like Megan in terms of like animal references. I mean, her name literally is like Megan Thee Stallion, so any sort of animalistic moment going on there, I understand it. I think it's fun. I do like this color. I like the idea of not just your usual like run-of-the-mill sort of orangey, yellowy, black leopard. I like the fact that it's the white with the sort of black spots. I feel like it's fun. I feel like it's different. Roberto Cavalli always did say that God was the best designer, so referencing one of his other designs that's not just your run-of-the-mill animal motifs is very good in that regard. This looks like a knit of some sort, and also you can see the stitching that sort of contours around the bust line on the hip. I like to see a bit of Cavalli, and maybe this is a little bit of a look into what is coming from Fausto Puglisi's Real True Blue Cavalli collection that I presume we're gonna see in September? Next up is Michael B. Jordan, and he is wearing Bottega Veneta. Again, jacquard knit, seen a lot of it, not upset about it whatsoever. This is particularly one style that I actually would wear often. I don't know if I love the t-shirt underneath. I don't think that was necessary. I'm not saying Michael Jordan has to like not wear a shirt, but I also think maybe a green shirt, something that clashes a little bit less with the sort of very grayish color on the jacquard knit, and also just the shoes. The shoes aren't good. Put him in one of those woven foreskin shoes. I won't be mad about that. I'll deal with it. I'll handle it. Next up is MJ Rodriguez, and she is wearing Jean Paul Gaultier as well. I believe, again, this is from a couture collection, and it is this strapless mini dress that's essentially based on like a girdle, I believe, and then matching gloves that are laced up almost like a corset would be. I love it. I think it's super fun. I think it's super exciting. I think it definitely plays into a sort of beautiful like femme fatale moment. I feel like it's kitschy enough to be Gaultier, but at the same time that like bright little pink is very, very pretty. I think it's very, very lovely. I think it's fitted to a mother of a house, specifically mother of the house of Evangelista. So in that regard, I'm not upset about it. I really enjoy it. I think she looks beautiful. Next up is Olivia Rodrigo, and she is wearing Molly Goddard. I love it. I love it. I like to see when young artists are supporting young brands. Olivia Rodrigo is very famous. She drives around. She has a driver's license. So in that regard, when you're wearing smaller, lesser known brands, it is nice to sort of see that camaraderie between up and comers. I think the green looks really, really lovely on her. I like the sort of ruffled manipulation detail all along the skirt, and I think the top fits really, really well. The black tights and the black shoes I'm not obsessed with, a little bit orthopedic in my opinion. Listen, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of orthopedics, but to match with the Molly Goddard, meh. So overall, I think it works. I think it fits well. I'm happy to see Molly Goddard. Next up is Rebecca Black, and she is wearing Christian Cowan. I love it. I'm obsessed with this. I think this is dramatic. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's over the top. It's great. So it's a bright yellow dress in some sort of silky satin, or maybe it's not even a dress. Maybe it's a shirt and a skirt. I think it might be a shirt and skirt. And essentially it's full of sort of little beaded details that go right up the front. It has a funky little collar, some brass little buttons, although they're not brass, they're more brash. This ridiculous puffed sleeve is like so hot. Like the pleating of it, the texture of it, it's stunning. I'm obsessed with it. It's magnificent. And then you have a sort of column skirt, high-waisted, nothing really crazy going on there. Fitted, I'm about it. Overall, Rebecca Black, thank you. It is also Friday, the day that I record this, so everybody's waiting for Rebecca Black to wear this on the weekend. Next up is Regina King wearing Christopher John Rogers. I genuinely will go on the record and say that this is probably one of the best fashion moments of 2021. This Christopher John Rogers dress is just magnificent. It's so beautifully fitted. Like she just looks like an Emmy or an Oscar or a Tony or whatever statuesque little thing you hold when you win something, because you had a really good moment. You had a good achievement. That, like, if I could have a fashion, whatever the name of, listen, if they gave out Lookies, which are small awards that I would give out to people who I think have had a moment. I would want it in the shape of Regina King and Christopher John Rogers. So the dress, fantastique. I think that this bright neon orange is very much so a Christopher John Rogers special. It's also in this utilitarian twill, which I don't believe is natural fiber. I believe it is a synthetic, but I think that's what also allows it to hold this absolutely insane orange. There is like a science between synthetics and non-synthetic fabrics. Non-synthetics, it's not that they don't hold color as well, I just don't think they'd be able to hold this kind of color as well, because what in real life is actually that orange? You tell me, you let me know, because your oranges are not actually that orange. But I do have to say, the absolute gall of these darts, they just like shape that waist so well. And the little train on top of that, it's just like, it's fantastic. Like even the way that it hits the floor, the column skirt hits the floor. There's no pooling, there's no leftover. It's just like perfect. It's perfect. This is a great dress. I am telling you it's a great dress. You can all see that it's a great dress. If you can't see that it's a great dress, you're hearing that it's a great dress. You can't touch it, but you can imagine what it feels like, and that makes it a great dress. And so in that regard, this has absolutely awakened my 5 senses. I am living my best life. This is amazing. Christopher John Rogers, thank you. You know not what you do for us. Next up, let's get into Rihanna. This should just be like a whole Rihanna section dedicated video. So first up, Rihanna is wearing this insane pair of jeans. This is from a very, very vintage Gucci show. I believe it's spring summer 99. I'm not really sure. This was a collection that Tom Ford did as a sort of reference to hippies and bohemian and all that sort of stuff. It was almost like him leaving Studio 54, which was his very sort of early Gucci collections, and then getting into like this other aspect of the 70s, like the exact opposite of like the glamour and all that sort of stuff that everybody knows about Studio 54. It's interesting. Would I say that today it passes like the cultural appropriation? Check. Probably not. Waistband with the motifs, I'm sure, are probably some sort of First Nations textile reference, and so like in that regard, not great. But I do like the little feather denim aspect. These also cost like $10,000, so if you want it, gotta pay for it. She's also wearing a Benny and Dallo hat. Benny, I believe, is a young designer or up-and-coming designer. It's just a gigantic hat. I don't know if it's faux or not, but it's funny. It makes me laugh. It's very Rihanna, and like she just takes the piss all of the time, and it makes me very, very happy. Next up is Sonam Kapoor, and she is wearing Iris Van Herpen. It's beautiful. It's just stunning. The little silver motifs and 3D printed whatevers all throughout the dress are just stunning. And then honestly, I'm sort of like a little bit more sold on this chiffon strip moment. It seems like more and more they sort of contour the body, they sort of play into the shaping of it, and then sort of fall down into this like beautiful cascade of chiffons. It's rather lovely. I'm very about it. I like the lack of coverage on the shoulder. I feel like it's fun. I feel like it makes it a little bit less strict and tight, overbearing. It gives it room to breathe, and I'm into that. Next up is Storm Reid wearing Christopher Kane and Paris, Texas. So Christopher Kane did a, I believe, spring 2021 collection. It was like very small, and it was all about painting. He was like, listen, I'm taking a little bit of a break. I'm doing my own thing. And I love this. It's like a beautiful painted Jackson Pollocky, but not really Jackson Pollocky moment. It's stunning. I'm just sort of obsessed with it. And I like the fact that like, I think most of them were handmade or hand done with actual paint. He wanted to actually like bring in what he was doing from COVID to like keep himself sane and bring it into his fashion design and bring it into his work. And I feel like it's just stunning. I like the little peplum moment. I like the way that it's a fitted dress still. Like it has a sort of bolstery little skirt, but I like the top. It's fitted. The boots, Paris, Texas boots, just like hot, just like sexy, just like beautiful fake croc embossed boots in that like minty green. To die for. Next up is Simone. Now, Simone is the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13, I believe. If you didn't watch it, I'm sorry. Everybody else spoiled it for me too, so welcome to the club. But Simone is wearing Mugler Casey Cadwallader. Absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. We love to see it. I believe this is custom, and it's this sort of crazy contouring halter style top that exposes and has cutouts and all that sort of moment, and then just a sort of simplistic pant, nothing too much, split seam, and then those stocking shoes. I think they're gonna start selling those stocking shoes very soon. So if you really want a pair of them, it's gonna happen, I'm sure. Let me tell you, I'm having a prediction. Next up, we have Tandiwe Newton. She's wearing Kennethese. I'm obsessed. Obviously, we have the Asha OK full top. It has a square neckline, which I think is cute. And then it's a little bit of a fringe moment going on. That's a sort of Kennethese signature. And then you have a pant in some sort of orangey, creamy brown. I really like it. I think it works. I think it's fun. Kennethese has exposed me to the wonders of throwing things together that don't make too much sense in my head, but now do. There's a little bit of a houndstooth jacket placed over top and a purple little pussy bow blouse as well, and a little bit of a wrapped turban headpiece with a hat. It's very Kennethese. The pussy bow blouse can stay. The jacket though, she should go. She's not that cute. She's not really working in my opinion. I think though, like the hat with the turban, that all works. I'm into that. But the jacket, she just could have went. She didn't need to be there. Next up is Tinashe, and she is wearing Blue Marine, which is done by Nicola Brognano now. This is a butterfly knit top and little pair of hot pants. I love it. I still love it. And I like that there's the butterfly necklace. I like that we have the little belt. I like the big earrings. I like the butterfly clips in the hair. I feel like it all plays into this sort of early 2000s, late 90s butterfly obsession. I think the fact that the butterfly knit top just is a butterfly wing that is a knit top is really, really lovely. I think the color looks great. I think it's fun. I'd love to see more Tinashe in Blue Marine. I think it would be hot and sexy. Next up is Yara Shahidi, and I believe that she's wearing Area Fall 2021. Lady Gaga did already wear this look, but like, again, I think it's not a bad thing to have somebody wear a look multiple times. I don't think it's like offensive. I don't think it hurts anybody. I like the fact that you can actually see the texture of this dress here. I love the exaggerated hip moment going on. It's now sort of an area signature. I like the fact that it has the sort of like hoodie jacket moment going on with little utilitarian like safari pockets. I like the little headpiece in the hair and the little silver boots. I think it works. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. I'm interested in the fact that we can actually see that sitting down, it's shape, which I'm kind of obsessed with. And now for our final look of the video. It's been a long one. Zendaya wearing Yves Saint Laurent Haute Couture. I believe it's the fall 1982 collection. This is a great look. I think it's stunning. I think that La Roche has a beautiful way of bringing in so many different references to this Yves Saint Laurent look in a way that actually makes him the image architect that he is self-described as. Like now I believe in the word image architect. Like this was the moment that I said, oh, okay, this is like a skyscraper of fashion. So again, Yves Saint Laurent, fall winter, 1982, haute couture. This is from Eunice Johnson's collection. Miss Johnson was the founder of Ebony magazine and the Ebony Fashion Fair. And she essentially used to go to the haute couture shows and buy. And she used to like buy. She also like paid the full bill, which like was not really a thing done often. You could sort of like haggle the prices, and was one of, if not the first Black women to really get into the front row and sort of be respected by a lot of haute couturiers in that sort of mid 20th century fashion space. To the point where I'm pretty positive Yves Saint Laurent would stop working in the studio to come and see Miss Johnson when she arrived for her appointments, which like, kind of a big deal. This is just Trey 80s. It's this sort of silk satin. I like the blue. It has the leg of mutton sleeve. It has this sort of poof of fabric that sort of curves itself up. A simple sort of black skirt, nothing too crazy over there, but the shoes, the Roger Vivier shoes. Oh my God, image architect. Roger Vivier worked at Christian Dior when he was a young person. I think he worked there for about 10 years. And who did he work with in that time? Yves Saint Laurent when he was a creative director. And then I'm pretty positive in like 1963, Vivier left Dior and started his own company. And then in 1964, who put out the iconic Mondrian dress collection and utilized the pilgrim buckle style by none other than his friend Roger Vivier, Yves Saint Laurent. So in reality, it's like a full circle moment, and I'm very obsessed with it. So I love it. I think it's stunning. I love seeing, again, archival fashion. It is here. It is happening. We're obsessed. So with that, let's get into our best and worst looks. I think my best has to go to Zendaya. It's just like, I loved every second of this reference. I just think it's a beautiful sort of like crazy 80s look that is a bit of fashion history, which I'm obsessed with. The worst dress, Alicia Keys. You need to go for it. If you're doing Versace, go for it. Don't dance around it. Handle it the way you need to handle it. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video, and TTY.